everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Marina Seren and this is my video about Starseeds. So, I wanted first to start with explaining what is the explanation or the meaning that the New Age movement or the spiritual community and the UAP community has ever given to this specific terminology, because I think that there are certain things within the explanations or the meanings that they have given to it that are pretty much outdated in terms of metaphysics. So I wanted to give a little bit of an explanation, like a metaphysical explanation to this, so that perhaps we get a more, like a deeper dimensional metaphysical understanding to it. How is that they are different from an average human being? What is that makes them a starseed? What is the real, like, deeper metaphysical knowledge behind starseed? Well, because time is not linear. When we incarnate and come here to take into a human avatar or vessel, we do it with connections with other, let's say, lifetimes or incarnations that are happening simultaneously, because everything is here now, that are meant to guide us or inform us of things that we need in our spiritual path. It might be because of karmic cycles that we need to clear up or we need to benefit from. It might mean because needing the information, the tools, the advice, the things that we already learned in those lifetimes and incarnations that we're trying to bring in here so that it can help us in this, current incarnation of ours. Or it can be simply because we share similar archetypal energies or expressions of soul, like, for example, even profession, or like profession or soul mission. We might share similar things, or we might have things in common, so that's why we're desiring to inform each other of what is that we are exploring in the now moment. So as this is the general law or truth for any soul, then what makes a starseed different from that perspective? A starseed is a soul that when they incarnate here, they come here with higher percentage of connections to other lifetimes that are happening not in this planet and not in this plane, this physical plane of consciousness or level of awareness, level of spiritual evolution. So if this is the general truth for all of us, then what makes a starseed a starseed? Well, a starseed is an individual, a soul, that when they incarnate and come here connected to parallel, simultaneous lifetimes or incarnations that are going on another planet or star system that are not from this physical matrix or this physical level of consciousness. So whilst an average soul has more connections to lifetimes that might be happening on Earth, a starseed is coming here with connections to parallel lifetimes that are going on other star systems that are not Earth. Now, there is another kind of seed which is called an earth seed, which also comes here with pretty much like a higher level of evolution, but their connections are also more oriented towards the Earth, like the planetary Earth vessel, rather than other planets or stars or galaxies even. So the real difference between an earth seed and a starseed is basically that one is connected to to star systems that are not Earth or extraterrestrial civilizations, whilst the earth seed is connected to more of their Earth incarnations. But the earth seeds are also more advanced than the average human. They come here with a higher level of consciousness and awareness, and that's why they are called seeds, because seeds stands always for seed of consciousness, seed of of light. Now, the real reason why the New Age or the spiritual community originally gave it that perspective to starseed, that they come linearly from another planet, is because in the history of Earth, technically, that it was true. That it was exactly as it happened. Starseeds came from other planets to this to this one because they wanted to help humanity evolve. Now, this doesn't mean that other souls that didn't have any other incarnations in other star systems or extraterrestrial civilizations, because that is not true. That goes against one very important law of the universe, which is that you are eternal, that you are infinite. Therefore, everybody has had incarnations in other star systems. It's just that starseeds, in the history of the starseeds, these souls came to planet Earth more recently in time, in history generally speaking. So their let's say most recent attained experience was on other planes of consciousness that were of a higher density and that were of an extraterrestrial origin. They come here with the ability, with a really specific ability, which is the ability to activate certain aspects of the human genome that are of extraterrestrial origin, that is the one that contains the DNA from higher density, the information of higher densities. Because humans are a hybrid species. We were created in between primate DNA and about 22 different races of extraterrestrial species. And so most of these extraterrestrial species were from higher density. They were from a higher level of consciousness. Therefore, the human DNA that is foreigner, it's the one that contains the information from these higher levels of consciousness, these higher dimensions. Therefore, if you are someone that has this higher percentage of ET-DNA, it's most likely that you're going to come here with that connection to those higher layers of consciousness, to those higher, let's say, densities of consciousness, of a higher frequency. And so as these souls came here with their most recent experience being from other higher densities of consciousness that differs from this physical plane that has been brought into the third density over time via manipulations, etc. As there is a morphogenetic aspect to DNA, everything is programmed. Every movement, every path, every step that you take in your spiritual path gets programmed within the frequency, let's say, the frequency pattern structure of your unique DNA blueprint, which is your soul blueprint. Therefore, as a starseeds, lifetimes, more recent incarnations, or attained experience, let's say better, because recent incarnations sounds like linear time, as their most recent experience were in higher density consciousness or in extraterrestrial civilizations that were more advanced than the human one, then their unique soul blueprint came here with a higher percentage of these, let's say, frequency patterns that were vibrating at a higher level, at the level of the fourth, the fifth, or even the sixth density, because that's, I think, the maximum density level DNA that we have. So because of that, because their own unique soul DNA contained more of these frequency patterns, of these genetics, of these energies within it, they had the ability to incarnate into lineages or vessels that contain a higher percentage of this ET DNA that was given by these Anunnakis and these other 22 different species that came to co-create humanity. This happens simply because when there is an incarnation process, the soul DNA, which is your own individual personal soul blueprint, your genetic code, the soul DNA needs to be compatible in a sense with the physical DNA that you got from heritage. So if your soul DNA contains more of these frequency patterns that are of a higher frequency or that are of a more extraterrestrial origin, therefore when there is an incarnation, as both DNAs have to harmonize with each other and they hybridize in a sense, these frequency patterns get to be harmonics with the frequency patterns of the physical DNA that contains more of these extraterrestrial origins too, or connections to higher densities. So because of this compatibility, because when they harmonize frequencies to blend, there is this let's say resonance between these aspects, this of genetics of the self, of the avatar and the higher self and the multidimensional facets of the soul, then this avatar is going to be able to express more of these extraterrestrial DNA or more of extraterrestrial energies when it incarnates the soul in question, the starseed soul. But again, this idea that their most recent incarnation, their most recent attained experience was in another planet, that is in terms of a general term, in terms of history of the Earth. Now, because time has passed and there has been a lot of moments in history ever since the first starseeds came here to see the planet with their starseed DNA and energies and gifts, etc. Starseeds now can have many different incarnations, connections to Earth lifetimes. So that means that some starseeds can become even Earthseeds if in one lifetime incarnation they desire to connect more to their Earth lifetimes, and if they desire to change again, they can connect quantumly speaking in the moment. They can change those connections and start connecting more with a higher number of ET incarnations from other star systems. So as you see, it's a pretty quantum thing. It's not like so much linear in a sense, which means that in fact everybody can become starseed, which is a pretty cool thing. If a soul is able to activate enough of their extraterrestrial DNA, and that is possible because we all contain it, it's just that some have a higher percentage and some have a lesser percentage. If a soul is able to activate none of their extraterrestrial DNA, then they can change their connections, their current connections to parallel lifetimes or incarnations to the ones that they have in other star systems or ET civilizations, then it means that they can become starseeds too. So it's not limited to certain souls, but it's true that because of DNA, heritage and percentages of genetics, etc., of the soul DNA and the spiritual lineage, some souls are able to do it more than others, and that's why some are able to activate it quite easily, and some take a little bit more of time because they have had more and more experience, more attained experience on Earth, and they are not so compatible or connected to these more hybrid lineages of Earth that contain much more of this ET extraterrestrial DNA percentage. And so what is the idea behind the starseed origin? Now, if you hear a person saying that they come from one planet or another, keep in mind that that might not be exactly true necessarily in terms of linear time. It's true that, as I said, it is pretty quantum, so incarnations change depending on what you need in the moment. So it's true that there's an idea that there is a stronger, let's say, energy of a specific star system within you in the moment, but it doesn't mean that you're limited to that as like your origin in terms of linearity. Because everything is quantum, you can change your actual starseed origin or connection. Origin just stands for the idea of what is your stronger star system connection or extraterrestrial civilization connection in the moment. So depending on what gifts you desire to bring here from which civilization or what kind of things you need to connect to in order to move forward in your spiritual path, you might be connecting to either one star system or another star system or another galaxy or another planet, etc., depending on what you need always. So it's pretty much free. It's pretty much malleable. It's not like static. It's not crystallized into just one single option. And so what is the purpose of starseeds? Now, this is really interesting because most people say that starseeds come here to help humanity evolve, which is true. That is in general true. Most starseeds come here because they're excited about the time that that we're experiencing right now, which are times of transformation, times of change, times of evolution, deep spiritual transformation. But the truth is that many starseeds can come here, for the sake of experience, for the sake of exploration, because they want to have an experience as a human being. But again, remember that this is not linear, so forget a little bit about the idea of linearity, like, the idea of a soul that comes from, because we all come from different star systems. So yes, because the starseed has this higher connection to parallel incarnations or lifetimes of a higher frequency, of higher density, then it means that they come here with a higher frequency, with higher consciousness or awareness, level of awareness. And so that means that they also come here with a set of many different spiritual gifts that they can activate when they have their first awakening or Kundalini activation or starseed activation. Many of them, in fact, come here with incarnate with a really specific DNA programming, which is sort of like a wake-up call encoded with the DNA structure that is meant to activate at a specific time, so that they start to activate all of that wisdom, all of that knowledge, all of that consciousness that they are so connected to, that is coming from other star systems, from another level of a consciousness, from other worlds, and to bring in here and to crystallize it into the earth matrix, so that the whole earth benefits from it by becoming part of the grid, part of the matrix itself. So the question is, how can I know if I'm a starseed? Well, one of the things that I say to most people that come to me, either clients or friends, asking me if they're starseed or not, is that if they are attracted to the term starseed or the idea itself, or they even ask themselves that question, then it might mean that there's a high probability that you might be one, because otherwise you wouldn't have expressed such interest in the idea behind it. So if you're asking yourself if you're a starseed, if you're watching this video, understand that there might be a reason behind it, that there might be a purpose behind it, and it's that maybe you need to understand and integrate into your awareness that you might be one starseed. Now, it doesn't mean that you're one necessarily, but there's just a high percentage that you are one. So thank you so much for having watched this video. I hope that you enjoy it. If you're new here, subscribe. If you like the video, give it a like and let me know so that you can support me. You can also follow me in my other social media that you have in the description below. So thank you so much for watching and your support, and I'm really desiring to continue to upload more videos on these matters, on these topics, experiencer blogs, or metaphysical classes as this one. So again, if you liked it, give it a like, and thank you so much for watching. I'm sending you love, and I hope to see you on my next videos. Bye bye.